Oh, okay, hello and welcome. Welcome to Pure Love, the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. We're super excited to be sharing our experience with you. This is my beautiful sister, Stacy Hemingway.
Hello.
Yeah, she was my side by last week in Orlando, and she's my younger sister. We've been together for 56 years. So it's been really a joy to be able to share this with you. I've said that, but I'll just say it to you right now.
Yeah.
It's been incredible to
Yeah,
be on this
likewise.
journey with you.
Yeah.
And I feel really honored that I can share this deep walk with my sister, So some of you know me, some of you don't know me, but I wanted to just give you all an opportunity to understand why it is that I've chosen this work with Dr. Joe, and then Stace will speak, her piece around what he means to her. But for me, one of the gals who she's actually registered for this Zoom, her name is Zaresh Altork. She sent me a whole bunch of Dr. Joe meditations when I got the cancer diagnosis in 2019. And at that point, I'd already been reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is the one book that I can't find. I think I've loaned it to someone, but we'll show you some of his books in a moment here. That book really began the deeper work. I mean, I'd known about him since What the Bleep Do We Know? Screened at Agape many years ago in Los Angeles. And then I did his meditations, because I was doing everything to heal the appearance of cancer in my body. And I really wanted to understand what was my part in the creation of the cancer experience, And so that's where it all began for me. And God bless you, Zaresh. I was just thinking about you in the last 24 hours. Thank you so much for starting me on the path. And Jean, you've sent me some of Dr. Joe's meditations as well. Jean, you got me into a coherence healing a couple years ago. So it's really been beautiful to feel the support and love of the larger Dr. Joe community as I've sort of been making my baby steps, So, so I did his meditations, and, I heard from my naturopath. I did many more things, as so many of you know, than just the meditations. I moved, I changed my diet, I completely changed my life. I divorced, and I left the concrete jungle of Los Angeles, right? So, it was, it's been a powerful journey of transformation for me. And about a year ago, I was endeavoring to meditate. I don't know if I was doing Dr. Joe's meditations or what I was doing a year ago, but I couldn't even sit in meditation because my left eye was giving me such pain. And I was really frustrated about that. And most of last winter, I was seriously considering, Stace knows, I was seriously considering having my eye removed because I was like, I can't keep living like this. I don't want to live like this. If I can live without pain, then I will have the eye removed, And so I'm seriously contemplating this and mulling it over and sharing with family and what have you. And then at some point, a little voice dropped in and it said, Steph, if you're really seriously considering surgery, you may want to go back to the work of Dr. Joe. And I listened, like the good God girl that I am, I listened. And so I had registered for his monthly subscription to listen to him live, and I had never calendared it. And so I finally calendared it, and I popped into one of his lives. And who was he interviewing but a woman who had a testimonial who had healed her eyesight. She'd been blind since she was a young girl. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm present. I'm here, and I'm here to learn, And Stace and I had been trying to get to an event for several years, and she's been very busy birthing an incredible curriculum to get yoga in schools called Conscious Classroom that she might share more about. The stars just hadn't aligned for us until they did.
Yeah.
In August. Dr. Joe's events sell out fast. And and in August, we had the day calendared when the tickets went on sale.
Right.
And
time.
we were on it.
Yeah, we were on. She was in Montana, I was here, and we were both reminding each other. And then when it said that I had absolutely, that I had registered, I had enrolled, I FaceTimed her and I just burst into tears because I knew that I just knew the importance of this event with you and this work with him. Like there was just something that imparted to me, like, this is really important what you're doing right now, Stephanie. And so that's just a little bit of backstory about why we wanted to share about this. And I just wanted you to know a little bit about my healing journey and where I'm at now. And I feel really amazing right now. And I'll say more about that in a moment. But Stace, why don't you just share a little bit about your backstory and what led you to his work?
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. So I'm grateful to Steph to just wanting to share this with you all. And so I'll do my best to be brief because I love to chat. But needless to say, I teach the practice of yoga. I have for the past 25 years. And I felt like there was something more than my body as I age. I wanted to move beyond that, and it was the mind. And that's really what appealed to me. I had done my own meditation practice for years, and I knew that there was, something more. I'd done some longer experiences, shorter experiences, but not until this event did I have this understanding, a new relationship with taking my seat for longer periods of time. And I know that Steph will probably speak about that. And just the ability to push thyself, to rub up against our edges a lot, and our edge of our neighbor, needless to say, a lot, just helped me become. And so I have built a curriculum for yoga in schools. Steffi mentioned it. That's not really what this is about. However, Dr. Joe is quoted in the Conscious Classroom guidebook, which I'm grateful for, because now this just helps me take this to the next level with the students and with the teachers who support our students. So,
yeah. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about like the actual event. Like, what the heck did we do for 7 days?
A lot of meditation.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit about what we did prior, because that was really important. So Dr. Joe asked us to do a bunch of pre-work. And so if you attend, I know, Jean, you've attended so many of his events. He asks you to do about 30 hours worth of his progressive and intensive workshops. And we were like, oh, heck yes, we're doing that. So we dove in. We were kind of surprised at the event to learn how many people had not done the homework. And he made fun of them the entire week. It was hysterical. But we were so glad that we did, because it really created a powerful foundation for us to be in that advanced room, really. I mean, it's advanced for a reason, We have read the books, which we'll show you in a moment. And it was fun to hear him do his thing, and he's hysterical. So I'll just say it right now. Like, I'm totally in love with Dr. Joe Dispenza because Dr. Joe is helping me to fall back in love with myself.
Yeah.
So I was just telling Stace that, I kind of feel like I've had a Persephone's journey in the last several years with the divorce and the cancer and everything. It's like I had to make a really deep dive into the underworld and come back to find the light, And so and also just to state that, so many of you know that I was a practitioner at Agape for so long. And this work is absolutely in alignment with that. It's an enhancement of that. It's an elevation of that. And I feel like I'm in my master's now, like and initially I thought it was all about healing. Jean, you were so cool the way you course corrected me in my little prayer request on Facebook before I left. And now I totally get it, of course, Jean, because while healing is a part of, transformation, what's really important is the changes that I'm willing to make to become more of who I am and be less of who I'm not. right? And that leads us to like the whole overcoming to
To
becoming.
become.
Yeah. So Dr. Joe says that a lot there at Orlando. And so anyways, so we did all this pre-work, and I think we were pretty pleased with ourselves when we arrived there, because we really did have a really strong foundation of understanding.
Right. And it really supported the journey at the level that we were at, because he came at us very fast and very strong.
Yeah.
As far as the level of understanding and the rapidness in which he offered the information.
Yeah.
So
at some points I was like, okay, he did that in 2 hours. He needs to do that in an entire day. It was so fast. I could barely keep up with the note taking.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, so we arrived there, and I'm going to segue to the study, because that really came first before we actually connected with Dr. Joe. So you might notice these little Garmin watches that we're wearing here.
Study.
We both enrolled. Sorry, I'm just trying to mute folks. Hang on now. Yeah, thanks for staying muted, you guys. So we enrolled we got contacted shortly after enrolling for Orlando by the University of California, San Diego. They were doing a research study. And me being, that person who has been so much in the lab of my own body these last few years, and in my own spirit to create transformation in my own health and life, I was like, hell yes, I'm doing this. She took a little bit more persuasion,
Which I'm not sure why.
Well, we didn't know exactly what would be asked of us, but bottom line is we arrived there, and so anyways, the study is called Quantum 2.0, Quest to Understand 1,000 Humans Meditating. This research has never been done before in the world. So we are literally making history with this amazing doctor in San Diego named Dr. Hamal.
UCSD.
Yep. And there was several times throughout the week where Dr. Hamal and this other doctor, Toby, came and shared about the research that they'd already done, because there was a 1.0 that started in January of 2022, and now we're 2.0. And so we had a whole bunch of stuff done to us. Like we got weighed, and our height was measured, and we had cheek swabs, and we got blood drawn, and we got little receptacles for stool samples and urine samples, and we got our Garmin watches. Tear samples. Yeah, I collected some tear samples, actually. We were talking about it at first, going, how the heck are we going to do that? But it wasn't hard when the floodgates opened for me. Yeah, and I'll share more about that in a moment. So, so the study is a year-long study, and the Garmin watch is really to measure our
heart rate, our
sleep,
our
movement,
oxygen levels, our
like vitals.
Vitals, our steps. Cardiovascular. Yeah.
And it urges us often to move, which I actually need, to be honest with you.
Except during meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to undo the Bluetooth when we're meditating. Otherwise you get pinged from everything, actually. How do we make this stop? Oh my gosh. That took us a few days getting to understand the technology. So throughout the week, we got them the samples that they asked for, and then they went and got all new samples at the end of 7 days. So as soon as we have that science, we'll share it with you guys, because I've got your emails now. So,
and that's really the exciting piece, I feel like, with this, is it really validates what Dr. Joe's been speaking of for so many years. Now he's got universities behind him. He's got heads of departments behind him. He's got all the data now for several thousand people. And this is the beginning. This is absolutely the beginning. And I really liked what Dr. Toby, who is the head of anesthesiology at UCSD, said, this has been the most accepting group of volunteers that wanted to step forward to give their blood, to give their information. because it means so much to people now. Just the whole connection between mindfulness, meditation, and mental health
Yeah.
is really what this all comes down to.
Yeah.
So
And transformation.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Joe was ministering to us. Now it was completely, 100% devoid of religion or philosophy, completely devoid of that, which I really appreciate. And he actually articulates that. He said he doesn't want to exclude anyone. And I so appreciate that about him. Everyone is included in what it is that he's teaching, and he's incredibly science-based, which I also really appreciate. Even though that's not really what floats my boat and what turns me on, I do appreciate that the rest of the world needs to understand the science behind these miracles that are being created at these events, right?
Yeah, the analytical mind needs to understand.
I respect that. Yeah, I totally respect that.
Yeah.
So we, as Stace said, we were meditating every day, 3 times a day.
For over 5 hours.
Yeah, over 5 hours of meditation a day, and it was kind of wild and fun. And it's just like, he says to do it, we did it, because we were there for our own journey into the quantum field, that's really what was going on there, the journey into pure love, right? It was called Pure Love, the Journey Home. And was the vibe the entire week. It was so high vibe. It was so beautiful. There was a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of cries throughout the week, people moving energy. And, I'm used to that in the transformation world. That was not unusual for me at all. But it was just really beautiful to hear men cry out, that was really beautiful.
A lot of people helped themselves heal, and they were healed just by being there, because that's how high the vibration was in the room.
Yeah. One of my girlfriends said that I've been texting with several women that I met last week, and she's like, Steph, I've never felt more myself. And she said, I've kind of lost that now, because I'm gonna organize a Zoom for all the folks that Stace and I met as well, so that we can stay connected and stay in the study really, and in that vibration of pure love. Because you come back into life and it's like, oh, hello. It's not, it's not all butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah. And you try to hold that. You try to keep parts of it that do work for you, that do transition into your reality and mesh with your union, your families, your peers, your coworkers, all of it.
Yeah.
But again, you hold the higher vibration and it becomes more attractive. That's what's kind of cool, is that energetically, what's she on? What are they doing? Because of the energy. And so you'll notice that it becomes a little more attractive. So when it's good to be around people that feel good. Yeah. Energetically.
Yeah. It's really uplifting.
And energy, right? Like that's what we shared with 1,850 people. And that's a lot of people.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoulder to shoulder in your cute little chair.
Right. So let's talk about that for a moment, because it's really easy for me to go into my meditations here, and, it's very peaceful. It's very comfortable on my couch.
Right. Beautiful couch, cushy pillows,
all the props that I would ever need, right, for my meditation. Getting into the ballroom, you really are like sardines side by side, especially if the chairs are locked. And if you've been in a ballroom, with the chairs locked, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. So the crafty ones unlock the chairs. And so you got a little more breathing room.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Because, what you have to do then when you're that close, and this all speaks to the education, what he's trying to impart, is you have to overcome your physical reality, what you are familiar with, in order to transcend it and go into the quantum, to access the pure love. And I'm keeping it really simple right now, because I don't want to get too much. I'm not trying to be Dr. Joe here. He does a really good job of that himself. But so there was a moment that I'll speak to that was kind of funny. It was kind of a funny, haha, kind of odd moment for me. So all the chairs have about 6 feet in front of them. So, because he does a lot of laying down meditation. So we did sitting meditations, we did laying down meditations, and we did walking meditations throughout the week. So I sat beside this one gal. It was actually for the pineal meditation. Oh my God,
The
fascinating.
big one.
Yeah, the big one. So, and we'll tell you just how big in a moment. So, so I'm sitting beside her, and I'd had really beautiful experiences with all the people, like up until that moment. And so she's spreading out her blanket, and like it totally comes into my area where I'm lying down. And I was like, you do realize that my real estate is like this really narrow.
One chair to the next.
Yeah, it's just like one chair
frame.
width. Like that's my real estate. And her blankie was there and her pillow was all there. I'm like, oh, wow. And she kind of like pulls it in a little bit. And I was like, I think I'm going to go look for another. I just said to myself, I think I'm going to go look for another place. And I did, I looked after myself because I wasn't feeling 100% with that experience. And so I did. And I found another spot where I could like totally spread out, and and that was good.
And I think the point to that is that we can work with whatever we're working with in the moment and what we can tolerate, and what we can't tolerate, then we have to nurture ourselves.
Yeah.
In saying, oh, I'm just going to pick myself up from this and move along.
Yeah, that's what I felt I needed to do. And I was really glad I did, because I ended up having a really a good experience, but a very, I'm going to say challenging experience, because it was the pineal meditation. And, there were rumors that it was 3 to 4 hours long. And I'm like, are those rumors true? Well, so we were up at 3 a.m. We woke up at 3:15. We got to the ballroom by 4 because we weren't actually staying at the hotel that Dr. Joe is presenting in, which we won't make that mistake again. And we were in the ballroom chatting with Joe at 4 a.m. and then we went into the meditation, and we didn't come out of the meditation until 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
5 hours.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. 5 hours of meditation. So here's what I've learned. He's a trickster.
Yeah.
He bends time.
Yeah.
He collapses time. He plays with time. He plays with so much. This is what I love about him. There's so much play in Dr. Joe, and I'm really feeling infused in that regard in terms of my own life right now, that play is really a pathway to my own evolution, and maybe all of us, I don't know, to be more childlike. Anyways, so that was an incredibly long meditation. I'd never meditated for 5 hours. When he said it was 9 o'clock, I looked at the fellow beside me and I was in absolute disbelief. Like, yeah, like I just was like completely jaw dropped. It had been long. It was long. It had been hard at times. The air conditioning was coming down on me. I was cold. We go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. And, in terms of laying down, sitting up, laying down, sitting up.
Breathing, stillness, breathing, stillness.
Yeah. And he takes us through this pineal breath that once
spinal breath.
Yeah, spinal breath, moving the spinal fluid. It's moving the Kundalini energy. For those of you that practice Kundalini, it's like you're moving energy. And so, but he doesn't like to use that word because he doesn't want to exclude anyone. He mentioned that week. So that was helpful to know, because I've practiced Kundalini yoga for years and years and years.
Call it what it is, energy.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there in my disbelief, and all of a sudden I just start crying. Stace had gone off and done her own thing. We actually didn't sit together the entire week because I wanted to have my own experience. I wanted to have her own experience. I knew we'd see each other for meals and at night and stuff. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like cracked wide open. And for those of you who've been following my journey, you'll remember when I posted on Facebook, I'm cracked wide open. I love you all. Like my heart was just like, I was, like I was crying, but there was nothing wrong. I was just really moved by what I just achieved, I think, really,
Yeah.
that I'd taken myself on and that I'd stuck with it. You know, that's all he said was just try and stay with me. And meanwhile, I've got people snoring right beside me.
Right. Right.
They're awesome.
Lots of distraction, like the room, 1,800 people, right? It's not a room without distraction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was something that you constantly had to work with, whether it was cries, screams, wails, tears,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
It just was, it was all of that.
Yep.
And yet it wasn't for you to, at that stage, it wasn't for you to worry about. You
No.
just got to be with yourself.
Yeah.
And that was also work, right?
1,800 people. Yeah, Leslie.
Of, being able to not be pulled by the distraction.
Yeah, that was part of the work, it's like
Overcome to become.
overcoming your physical reality, overcoming that which you are familiar with, to go into the unknown, to go into the blackness, to go into the darkness, right? So
to go into the cold.
Yeah.
Even in Orlando, when you think it's going to be warm in Florida.
Oh yeah, no, it was cold. It was low 50s in Orlando.
Right, in flip-flops and leggings. Right. And so I had to overcome my shorts with a little cozy towel over my shoulders. But again, stages of what we can manage.
Yeah.
At that point as well. Right.
I just figured, it wasn't about just remaining in the bliss the whole time. It was really about doing the work. Right. It's like to go, okay, I'm cold. All right. So let's work to like go beyond the cold and whatever I needed to do that with my mind,
And there's no agenda.
No.
Oh, well, so that means you have to let go of control of wanting to know what the agenda is.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I'm just, that's an overcome to become, I think is more my point to that, is that we have to recognize what we cling so tightly to and, what that does to us within either the constricting process and or the limiting separation process.
Mm-hmm.
What are we missing out on? Right, to become what are we just holding so tightly to that is really doing a disservice? And can we let go so that we can let something new in? And that's where the quantum is, a place of beyond and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So Steph spoke to no thing, no time, no one,
nowhere.
Yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm.
that's the pure, that's the purest form.
Yeah.
That's what really is the beauty behind I believe Dr. Joe's work.
Yeah. And for those of you who've known me so long, like you've known that I've been all about this stuff for so long, like my practitioner life, like it's been all about that. But it's a new life that I'm in now. It's a very different life than I was in some 20 years ago. And so it's just a much deeper dive. It feels the stakes are a bit higher for me now. And I'm all in.
Well, and so, can maybe we just chat about that for just a second, Steph, because, I know you know me, but we haven't lived with each other side by side for periods of time. But making the steps, making the shifts, creating the awareness around what's necessary to make baby steps, baby shifts, changes in your life that really serve you. And how long, this has been how many years for you?
Which
the process of your diet and transitioning with Purium, and then
so 6 years that I really started making some really big changes in my diet and then and my lifestyle, and then 3 years since the cancer diagnosis.
Yeah. So, like, so those are big things for people to let go of, a process of potentially, like, their comfort food that we all love, but really isn't serving our gut and serving our even mental well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so and to let go of that. So I've been gluten-free for what, 15 years
Mm-hmm.
now. And that's been really interesting. And yeah, do I smell croissants and pizza and bagels and
Want them?
want them, but walk away because I know that just doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
But, so this practice of meditation, it's similar to letting go of something that you love, because you rub up against yourself so much that you have to push beyond it to sit for that extra 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or to sit for that extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it comes gradually.
Yeah, it really does. But here's what's happened to me now. So way back when, 20 years ago, when I became an agape practitioner, I was really good at the prayer. I totally understood it. Meditation, I didn't really understand, why was I meditating? I didn't grok it, I mean, I had kind of a sense, but it wasn't giving me, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it would give me, So fast forward to now, I'm so clear about why I'm meditating. I am so clear, Dr. Joe or not, right? It's like, I know why I'm sitting in the silence, in the dark at 4, 5, 6 a.m. whenever I wake up in the morning. My body keeps waking me up at 4 a.m. now.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me. I'm like, are you there, Dr. Joe, right now, you little trickster? Are you like, it's time to get up, Steph?
What else would you be doing?
What else do you have to do?
What else would you be doing?
Exactly. So yeah. So it would be meditation lecture break. So for those of you who are thinking about it, like that's the
style. Yeah.
But he kept us there late though, man. He got us there early and he kept us there late.
So my mind that wanted a plan, wanted to know what the structure was. Yeah. Needless to say, we were there at 6 a.m. and we didn't leave till at least 7:30 p.m. every day. Now we did get quite generous breaks for lunch. I think it was 90 minutes? 90 minutes for breakfast and lunch, and 90 minutes for breakfast. And then there were 2 other short breaks in between, which were great potty breaks and a cup of tea or something like that. But really, I feel like the majority of our work there was meditation. Yeah. Was to train the body and the mind, because when you're doing the work, you're having to retrain the body as much as you're retraining the mind, because the body's the doer. The body is the one that holds the energy and needs to sit and create peace with itself, and then it sends signals up to the brain, and the brain of course says, calm, you're fine, right? And relax back down again. So it's a constant flow of conversation, body mind connection. Yeah. And it's just really the work is how much are you willing to do? Yeah. So Steph has a different experience than I have right now, but I'm willing to do the work because I've always been curious about the work, and that's been my path. So it's quite natural for me. And that's what I said. I can do as many back bends and handstands as I can do. Right. But now it's like, what's going on upstairs? And as I work with kids, I really want to support them in understanding the evolution of their mind. And, the brain is cool because we all have this really beautiful brain. But as Dr. Joe says, the mind is the brain in action. And so how beautiful that we have been gifted this mind, this consciousness, this place of true higher understanding and higher reasoning, higher logic, elevated emotion, elevated intention that brings us to that place of quantum, right? That helps us understand holy moly, that's possible.
Yeah.
Like, wow, will I allow myself to go there?
Yep.
And I think that's really what's beautiful
Yeah.
is, like, oh, I could just only live within my little box, right?
Yeah. What do you say? The VR viewer,
The
whatever.
VR experience,
Talk
right?
about that all the time.
Because boy, my kids are, hey, I and my husband, and like,
Mhm.
I've been there, although it makes me more nervous.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
Well,
doing the work.
yeah. So let's talk about coherence because he uses that word all the time, and that's really what you're talking about here. Coherent mind, coherent heart, and with that, we can really create from the quantum field, and create from the quantum field with our eyes wide open. That's the purpose of the meditation, is to inform the waking life, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To live all those beautiful, positive, I would call them spiritual principles. He doesn't use that word, but that was my parlance from 20 years ago, to embody them in the meditation so that we can embody them in our waking life. And so I applied for and received randomly, so-called randomly, 3 coherence healing sessions while I was there. Yeah. I cried when I found out that I'd received that, because I was so grateful. So grateful. Because I've been in this experience of pain with my eye for a long time now, since 2019. It all coalesced. The eye, the breast cancer. Oh, there you go, Steph. Have some fun with that. So, migraines for a year, and then I did a lot of heavy metal detox, and the migraines went away. So I know that it's heavy metals. But what Dr. Joe has shown me is that I know I can heal my body now. And I know that it's going to happen eventually. I didn't have my miracle in Orlando like I was hoping for, but it doesn't even matter anymore.
It's not about that anymore.
It doesn't matter. It's about my own brain and heart coherence, and my own, love affair with myself.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why, what I said earlier about him. So, so here's what's so cool about the coherence healings. There were 230 healies. That's what I was. I was a healie, a recipient.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, the 1,600 or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a bit more time. What?
I was just I want you to share with them a little bit about the work in creating the field of heart coherence.
Yeah.
And how we did all that breath work.
Yeah.
But then what we did was we also brought it back down into us. So it's just acknowledging.
So you were a healer. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I wasn't as tuned into that journey. No. Talk about that.
Okay.
It's important.
Okay. So, so we did a lot of work in moving energy up the spine. And for me, that's quite natural with my yoga world. I relate to them as chakras. Joe, of course, energy centers, and they're all the same variations. And when I teach to students, I just teach to this higher realm. I don't teach to the 8th chakra, and so that to me was something that I got to really play with. And I've always, understood like our fullness, our bigness, and how when we vibrate at a higher frequency, we can really live into that fullness. We can live into that vibrational field, and that really starts to then cohere and relate to those other vibrational fields that are very similar. And, Steph and I, that's cool as sisters, we're only 13 months apart. And as much as we're really different, there are lots of us, lots of parts of us that really are very coherent.
Yes.
And so that's, there's super coolness to that cool factor, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think, when we are creating a field of vibration, and we can attract and find others that also want to lift that field of vibration with us, and that's really where the coherent
Healer.
energy starts
Oh.
to come from. And so it's a matter of, as much as, so this is where it gets different, chakra energy, vibrational energy from our perineum up through our pineal and crown and beyond, right? The aura, the energy, the essence that is beyond us, then has a polarity, it flips. And with that, then we become the recipient of the energy.
The toroidal field.
Yes.
The apple.
That then now we're the vessel for the energy to move through. And that's where the healing, the healer, which is what I got to participate in, the healer energy then moves through us in a coherent field of healers onto the healee, which was an incredible experience beyond. I felt so much love for the people that I got to, just move power through and to them. And this is how we serve without, just with connection, with being in the field of, in the experience of it. It was beyond.
It was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. It was heart-opening. He's essentially teaching people how to be healers, and he's teaching obviously us how to heal ourselves. And it's one of the most beautiful community. I mean, I know I've been a part of a lot of communities in these 57 years. And it was one of the most beautiful communities that I've ever been connected to.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Right? Like we cannot wait. Now, Jean, I'm like, Jean, why do you keep going back? I asked her before I went to Orlando, and now I see why, Jean, you keep going back.
Well, we didn't want it to end.
No.
Because, at the end of every day, Dr. Joe would say, "Hey, how do you feel?" And everybody would be like, "Woo!"
We were dancing. We were dancing all
Right?
day, every day.
That was the way the energy was up. Even if you started at 6 a.m., 4 a.m., it didn't matter.
We were dancing
Right?
at 5:45.
And then he would say to you, "Well, if you feel this good, why would you want to stop?"
Yeah.
And so that's the whole, there were some takeaways for me, right? Just quickly, takeaways for me in all of this that we've been discussing. Where the mind goes, energy flows. So whatever we choose to place our attention on is where our energy flows to, right? And if we've got a little bit or a lot, then we get to worry about that, right? But if we've only got a lot, wouldn't it be great if we were expending it on things that we really wanted, things that we wanted to manifest? And that's a whole maybe other conversation about, like thinking in that realm of quantum. But needless to say, where the mind goes, energy flows, right? What we place our attention on is where we place our energy.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is that we have to overcome to become. I had agitation. The buddy beside me, his arm was rubbing against me. His arm hair was rubbing on me. Like he was so not interested in chatting. Dr. Joe says, here, chat with your partner. He just didn't want to chat. Then I went down the whole rabbit hole of I'm not worthy. Oh my God, I need to find my people. These aren't my people. These are all my people. What the heck? We're all people, right? And so of course that became a whole thing, right? So we have to get over ourselves. I was cold. I had to get over myself.
But you had a breakthrough with that guy, though, the guy that wouldn't talk with you.
Well, that's the other thing. It was a high five and a knuckles thank you at the end of the event. So, we all evolve, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And I think the last little nugget of goodness is that, my friends, I didn't know I could sit through 5 hours of meditation. Are you flipping kidding me? For real, you guys, I have 2 children. They're older now. My husband, I had dogs, no dogs anymore. I'm learning to recreate my life. I've been meditating for 20 years, right? But my own style. I got to put these beautiful, Steph gave me these beautiful eye shades. And you put Dr. Joe in your ears, you could probably sit for hours. Actually, I did sit for hours.
Yeah.
I proved it to myself. So, right, we all say, oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't, you can make the time. Literally, you can make the time. And yeah, it might rub up. You might rub up against like, damn, I'm hungry, or that's when I drink my coffee, or, I should be working at that point. You'll figure it out. That's the thing. And in doing this, you make this a priority, you make this sacred time, you make this for you. And boy, oh boy, why wouldn't you want to keep doing it?
Yep.
Like truly. And that's Dr. Joe coming out of me.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you want to keep doing it if it makes you feel this good?
Yeah.
And this is meditation, you guys, right? Like, I'm not talking about standing on our heads and doing handstands or whatever, right? This is just literally sitting with yourself, taking your seat.
Yep.
Sthira Sukham Asanam, right? That's the yoga version.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm called to sit now, and I have no problem sitting for over an hour, no problem whatsoever. And I'm working with the whole 2 meditation a day potential, working my way in that direction. And maybe even more, mainly because what Joe taught me is that, and I did access parts of it. I don't know that I went as far as some of what he describes, but there's a reality that exists that is far more real than the reality of 3D that we're living in.
Yes.
And I didn't fully understand what 5D meant, but I do now. And I want to go there as often as possible. And I want to teach my children about it. And I want to talk to my clients about it. And I want to talk to my team, my Purium team about it. And I want us all to be who we're here to be, more so, So it's just, I'm so clear that this is my future. This work is my future. And I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm here for it. I'm showing up, and I'm going to be the student. And maybe more, I don't know.
I think, and that's the beauty, again, the message here that just keeps coming through to me is that if we just do the work, the rest of it will happen.
Yep.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's really what testimonial after testimonial that we got to be witness to,
Yep.
is that when they were showing up for 2 meditations a day, they weren't doing it because they wanted to be healed. Obviously, that was a byproduct.
Yeah.
I keep saying to Steph, but they did the work. They just kept doing the work.
Yep.
And that's where the true healing came from. It
Mhm.
was just taking their seat and doing the work.
And that's it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So we're coming down to the end of the hour. I didn't have any intentions for this to go beyond an hour. So I kind of just want to, offer some just final little tidbits for you. So this is his most recent book, Becoming Supernatural. I've read it once. It's kind of a mess right now. And I'm re-listening to it on Audible, which is really a cool way to sort of be with all the information again. I'm learning new things all over again.
Here's the other 2.
Yeah. Evolve Your Brain, The Science of Changing Your Mind. And then You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. Oh my God, this one is so amazing.
Yeah.
I actually haven't read Evolve Your Brain. I've got some work to do.
I have. It's worthy.
Yeah. And then Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I think I loaned it to my mom or something because it's not in my library.
But that also, we are our own work.
Yeah.
Right. We are our own tapestry.
Yeah. Yeah. So in closing, I just want to say one last piece about my notebook. So I'm a note taker. I'm a full-on note taker. And I had my notebook there, and I had months of notes from when we first enrolled in August. And right before I was about to have my coherence healing, he's like, okay, Heelys, everybody go out and have your snack and everything. And I gathered all my bags and I left my notebook on the chair right next to me. And I walked away. And so that notebook is gone, is disappeared. I've contacted Lost and Found at the Gaylord in Orlando, and I've contacted Encephalon, and it hasn't been located yet. And you know what? I'm in the full on let go of it all. It is not about book smarts. It's not about intellectual understanding. It's about embodiment. That's what I'm so clear about. And I'm like, okay, Joe, you little trickster, I see what you've done to me here. Because I had a little, I had my own little pity party for a moment there. Because I'm like, how am I going to give the Zoom? I don't have my notes, right? The teacher in me was like, oh my God. And I was like, wait a minute. you know what you need to impart.
Yeah.
You know what you need to impart. And I don't have any notes for tonight, except for, just the things that we wanted to touch on, that we wanted to share. So,
And we teach from a level in which we understand. We teach from what we do embody. And that's where authenticity really from experience comes through. And I've been called out, why aren't you doing the work? Oh God, yeah, you're right. Why aren't I doing the work? And so that's really, we become accountability buddies in doing the work and the dance parties.
Yep.
And, the fun and the joy as well. But maybe.
Yeah. And pure love is sort of like, it's our word. If we see each other going off the path or whatever, we're like, that's our love. That's our word to share with each other, to help each other like come back to what's true. Right.
Realign.
So, for those of you who want more information about him, I'm just going to put his website. It's pretty, self-explanatory. It's just drjoedispenza.com. And, you don't have to go to a week long. You don't have to start with a week long. He's got shorter 3-day progressive workshops, and you can buy his meditations on his website. You can read the books, you can get the audibles, etc. So I'd like to open it now if there's any questions. There's been a lot of chit chats and I haven't seen anything in there, but if anyone has any specific questions, we'd love to just open it up now.
I have a question. I don't know if you want us to officially raise hands or
no, just popcorn. Yeah.
Okay. I love hearing all of this and just the transmission from each of you. I can just feel so much of the blessing of that. And I guess I have a question, which I am a regular meditator and I work a lot with my wild mind. I'm one of the only members of my biological family that's not on psychotropic meds, and I have to do a lot of regular yoga and meditation to maintain some wellness in that brain. But I can feel like the brain chemistry and the sort of, and I have read Dr. Joe's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which was a really powerful book. When you said, where our thoughts go, the energy flows, or where our mind goes, the energy flows. And I guess my question is, when we know our mind is going somewhere we don't want it to go, especially repeatedly, what techniques have you found to bring it more to the places that we want our energy to flow?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. Thank you. I think that so I'm going to just speak to Dr. Joe's work. And so I think it goes right back to the elevated intention and the elevated emotion. So in working with, what is possible of what we cannot see, but we feel it and we know it to be true, because the mind really operates only from what it knows from the past and something that it's already experienced. And if we tell it falsehoods, potentially, it can believe the falsehoods. So if we tell it that the experience has already happened, whatever it is that's going to pull you back on track, baby steps, right? We can only work from a level in which we're operating from, or that we're coherent with. Right. And so, trust me, it took me a long time to give up the gluten, even though I was gluten-free. Right. So, do right by yourself, just keep working at it. And that's why I just can't say enough, your effort towards this, maybe it's a sticky note on your bathroom mirror that reminds you of where you're headed. Because really another thing that Joe, I'm just going to reel it right back to him and say, in your darkest moment, in your place, in your lowest, like, God, I want to eat that freaking bagel so bad. Right. I'm just like playing with you all. Right. But, But when we get there, right, when we're like, oh, I'm being tempted beyond belief, what is it that's going to pull me back into myself? And that's the elevated emotion. And that's the thought feeling cycle that we can move through when we are connected to that higher vibration. Because it is attractive, remember? Like energy is attractive and we can get pulled to that. Oh, what are they doing? I want to do what they're doing, right? I want something that's going on over there. That sounds like fun. So that's what we become connected to. And so I hope that helps. I mean, we could probably sit and make a really great finger list of a bunch of things that you could do. And I would include meditation to be a part of that. Like sit when you're in your darkest place. What is pushing me? What triggered me? What's pushing me to this? Where do I feel it in my body? Can I identify with it? Can I start to, is there a color attached to it? You know, we could walk a path with it. So, but I hope that just helps.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you.
Of course.
May I interject something?
Yes, please,
One
Jean.
of the things Dr. Joe always uses is stop or change. So whenever that, when that emotion or thought is coming, that's not one that you want to entertain, just say stop, change. So that in itself, oh, okay. So that brightens you up or wakes you up and you can then go on to something better.
Yeah. Yeah. He always has a really simple answer.
You're trying to make it too involved.
In real life practice.
In
it
real
doesn't
life.
have to be hard.
Yeah. Decide to be happy.
Yeah, right.
Why aren't I happy, Dr. Joe? Well, I don't know. Why don't you decide to be happy?
That's right.
You know,
And that is a practice in itself. Like, how do we wake up every day and go to doing the same things that we do every day?
right.
And yet expect something to change.
Yeah.
So we've got to be the change. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
You know, is there 1 minute left? Okay, I'm going to take this few minutes. Somebody mentioned about guru, and maybe that was just a slip of the tongue. And I had a problem with that because I've put my faith into a guru that fell from grace and that I had to let go of. And so I was challenged by going all in with what I was learning with Dr. Joe. And so I really have to say that after the experience, that he is just the messenger of the information. And, you know, the science is real and he's presenting it to us. The work obviously is real when you experience the work. And his story is real. And all these other folks whose testimonials that we got to listen to also are real. And so I had to do my own work around, you know, this whole, because really the guru is just somebody that brings the light into our own eyes. And yet, you know, bless the pineal gland, right? This is what we learned with Dr. Joe, is that we are sparking that own light within our own self. Every time we move energy in our body in that way. And so we are our own spark, our own light. And so to the guru, may you bow to yourself, right? May you bow to yourself.
Amen. All right. Well, it's 5:01. You know, thanks so much for, you know, your interest and being here with us and sharing in our excitement around what we experienced. And yeah, it's really fun to share it with you and just be in this vibe of pure love together. And yeah, obviously I recommend I recommend him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recommend the work. I recommend the meditations. I recommend the books.
But if you haven't started with anything, just see the movie, What the Bleep.
Yeah, that's a good place to start, actually, the whole quantum journey.
Yeah, just cool movie.
Yeah. It's from like what, 2005?
Early.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I love you. Thanks for being here.
So lovely to connect with you all.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh,
You're so welcome. Love you, Val.
Be well, everyone.
Mhm.
That was so
Thank you.
inspiring and so
Yay!
good stuff. I love you guys. It's so great. I'm excited to meditate more.
Yes, yes. Take your seat.
And I need to read that book again. I'm gonna start listening to Becoming Supernatural again on audio.
Oh,
I
so
love it.
worthy,
I love
Rachel.
it.
It's
I
so
love it,
worthy.
you guys.
I
You're
love that
so
book.
worthy.
Literally, his process of taking you through the thoughts, that journey into the quantum field.
Yeah.
Like, that's where telekinesis comes from.
Yes.
And I was raised telekinetic. My mom was telekinetic. And so that is exactly, like, you just start to believe in it, and then you realize that's all it takes for anything to transform is just pure just believing that it is.
Yeah.
That's what the placebo is. That's what everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the possibility.
The power of the mind,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, to create the life that we want to live, to create mystical experiences, to, you know, heal our bodies. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's
Yeah.
so flipping cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know everyone is like wanting to go, but can I share a quick little story?
Yeah, of
with you guys?
course.
I
Yeah, of
understand
course.
people need to leave.
People can leave
But-
if they want to leave. Free country.
Pure love. Like all the pures, pure pura vida, and now it's pure love. It's all pure.
We had to wear our shirts. He gave us all. He
I
gave
love
everyone
it.
shirts.
Love it.
And they
You
were
two
all
are so cute.
distributed in such a coherent way. Oh, it says Orlando
Right.
on the back too. Yeah.
They're beautiful. You were like sisters on a mission. I
Little
love it.
tour shirts. Yeah.
You're so
Totally.
cute.
Yeah.
The story I was going to tell really quick is that you know, so I used to lock and unlock doors when I was little, and my mom had a real need for the doorbell to come up to like stop, because my stepfather would be, you know, a raging drunk or alcoholic and just ringing the doorbell in the middle of the night. And so she just kept visualizing that doorbell stopping. Like, she was too tired to get out of bed. She's like, I don't want to answer the door. I don't want him to be violent. I need to like sleep. I just wish that doorbell would shut up. And then just suddenly stopped. The doorbell just stopped ringing. And we went in the morning to go look at it, and it was completely pulled apart. The doorbell, which was in the hallway, the whole thing, all the wires were just frayed.
Whoa.
Like destroyed. And so I was like 6, and I just took that information in and was like, oh, okay, you can move things with your mind. Okay, you just do stuff. And so I started like practicing with unlocking and locking the door. And then one time I locked my mom out of her room, and I was in there. And she was like, open this door. And I was like, okay, hold on. And it was like Bewitched, you know, it was like ding, 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 ding. And then she's like, and I said, go ahead, come in, see if it works. And then she like came in, and it was like not locked.
Charge my battery.
Wow.
And yeah. And then so the last thing I was going to say is that this ties in with the whole quantum field, is then later in my life, I was telling this story to a boyfriend. He was like new. We weren't quite in relationship yet, but we were in this heightened state. And he had actually been in and out of prison in solitary confinement for, when he was 17, he'd like stolen a radio, and then he became institutionalized from that moment on. And he had a real need coming out of prison for a miracle. And I had told him that story, and we went to my house, and my door was locked, and I realized I didn't have the key. And I was like, dang it, I don't have the key. And I was like, what the heck? And I was sitting there, you know, I went through my process, and he goes, wait. He goes, do it. He goes, do it. And I'll never forget. He goes, I've been needing a miracle. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I just thought, okay. And I was like, oh God, it's been like 10 years since I'd done anything like that. So I was like concentrating, like trying to like open the door with my mind. And I kept trying, and it was locked, and it was locked. And I finally went, oh yeah, it's just open. And I'm like, Joop, and then the door just opened.
Wow.
Because I just realized, I was like, why? I'm like, in my mind, I was like trying to open the door with my mind. And then I realized I didn't have to open the door. I just had to remember that it's open.
Yeah. So that, you know what? Matter can't move matter.
Yeah.
When we go into
That
the
is true.
quantum, we can, things change.
Yeah. He
Right.
talks all about that, Rachel, about
Yes.
creating from the quantum versus matter trying to create from matter,
Yeah.
which has been so sort of like
That's true.
for me.
No, it's like pushing a rock uphill.
It's like this
Yeah.
is hard.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm so
hard.
over it. I'm so
Mm.
over it. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Oh my gosh. Well, and that's true because actually nothing's actually touching. No matter is actually touching itself.
No, because
It's all there's energy between every cell. All the particles are just energy. And
Yeah,
like
it's all
I
energy.
think Einstein said that if you compressed all the actual physical matter in the world, it could all in our whole reality, it would actually compress into the size of a sugar cube. The actual matter itself.
Oh, whoa.
He said that's how much energy is in the world. This is all energy.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, I
He
talked about
mentioned it quite a
Einstein.
bit. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
the
That's so
science,
cool.
the science
Science
is just
is
like
so
off the
great.
hook.
Yeah.
So here's one of the images that just really stood out for me. When he was, I think it was during the pineal, it was the pineal day. Anyways, there was a picture of a leaf
Oh yeah.
and the leaf had been cut,
Severed. Yeah.
but there was this photo of the leaf that showed the light
Around
version of the leaf, the
Yeah.
light blueprint of the leaf.
as a whole.
And so that that image for me has been profound because what's helping me to know in regards to what's going on with my eye is that there's a blueprint of light that exists in regards to my eye,
Yeah.
and so because there's a part of us that ascribe to the allopathic realm and world, like it'll never heal, you'd have to do X, Y, and Z for it to heal. And I'm like, no, there's actually a light blueprint of my perfect eye that I know is there. And so anyways, that was just the science and the images. Oh my gosh, we did these meditations that were the kaleidoscope.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
kaleidoscope,
Gorgeous.
gorgeous graphics of kaleidoscope
Kaleidoscopes.
merged with music. I mean, the guy's just cutting edge.
So they were eyes open, obviously.
yeah, eyes open,
meditation.
trance meditations.
Like trance, meant to put you
Oh
into
my
a
God.
trance.
Anyways, obviously, you guys, we could go on and on.
Right.
So I want to honor your time, and especially those of you who are on the East Coast. I love you.
Yeah, bless
God
you
bless
all.
you. Thanks for being here.
Happy evening.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Happy
So much love.
December.
Happy December. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful,
you.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Beautiful.
Bye-bye.